Betfair was a funny race. Paul had got Corto absolutely at his very best, and I don't say it was sort of complacency on our behalf that, sure, we weren't wound up for the Betfair. It wasn't our Gold Cup.
Yeah.
I think Corto was really ready for it. I don't say he had no improvement in him. We actually got closer to him in the King George, but he gave us a right old thumping there. And I suspect, as I say, I don't say we were complacent about the race, but we probably weren't as sharp as we should have been. And we got into a battle with him. And I think we just finished up getting a very hard race first time out. And as you know, that can do a lot of damage. I mean, not damage, but it's just like he never really bounced back.
As a trainer, that must be really hard because you're desperate not to bottom your horse for his first run of the season. But if you're up against absolutely race-fit and hardened contenders, that you have no choice.
Well, I mean, this slightly is our sort of gripe with the programme book as it is at the moment, because they are forcing these horses to take each other on first time out, and you are going to get hard races if, with the new novice chase programme, no novice in this country is going to get that opportunity just to get the experience comfortably, everything. These novice chases are full of 140, 150 rated hurdlers taking each other on first time out over fences. You've got no respite whatsoever.
No scope for improvement.
You've got no scope for improvement because you've got to be fit to do it. Otherwise you're going to get hammered, have a hard time, probably have a fall, and the whole thing's gone. And it's not making it very easy. And again, with long run, we had to go somewhere. There are only 3 options. You can go to Ireland. I mean, if the programme sends us to Ireland, well then, I think it's sad. I'm very happy to go to Ireland. But it's probably sad for English racing if we haven't got races over here for them, so we've got to go abroad to do it.
And then long run, where do you think you might start him off this year?
Well, again, the Betfair, but I mean, at one stage last year we blamed the track, but I'd go back and say I blamed Corto for going too fast. Which is what he did, and he got us into trouble a long, long way out. So Sam had to be at him a long, long way out. And I just think he got very, very tired, and he had a very hard race. And yes, he ran better at Kempton, but not good enough. He won well enough at Newbury. He actually broke the course record, so it can't have been too bad a run. But, you'd still say he came to win his race at Cheltenham, but he didn't. You would have expected him to have beaten those 2 horses on what we'd seen the year before. Anyway, everything's going well at the moment. We just got to hope we're going to get the same long run back this year as to what we saw 2 years ago. He has done a fair bit. I know everybody, we are aware he's young, but he's been, he did a lot of steeplechasing before he got here. So he's young, but he's been at it a long while, in fairness.
Yeah, Nicky, just talking there about, of course, how tough and competitive it is at the moment. And, of course, everybody used to be able to look for those easy pickings. I suppose when you look on the flat, people always used to say, look, we can send him up the north of the country and try and find an easy little maiden to get them started. There are no gimmies anymore. You've only got to look at Kempton's card. You've only got to look at the Wolverhampton card. You can't go there and just pick up an easy maiden whatsoever. They are all so fiercely competitive, and that exactly the same starting them off, of course, chasing. But long run, it looks like he's going to have a tremendous campaign ahead of him, and who's to say that he couldn't be finally matured into the finished article this time round. What about Sprinter Sacre?
Yeah, he was a bit special. I think when AP actually rode him in the Supreme Novice Hurdle the previous season, and he ran a really good race. Spirit Sun and him, they were dumped the last together. They got beat, but I said then I'd be disappointed if when we were unsaddling in third with Sprinter Sacre, I said I'd be very disappointed if that isn't standing up there this time next year. And yeah, he was pretty breathtaking the whole way through. I mean, it is frightening. I hope some people enjoy watching it. Barry loves riding it. He says it's the most exciting thing you can do. I think most people enjoyed watching it, except for me.
I was lucky enough to be here when he schooled that first morning. Barry rode him on the gallop, and I think for you to get that animated about a horse, there's very rare you see that, but he is something special.
Yes, he's not only just a gorgeous looking horse, he knows he's good. He's a terrible show off, but he walks down the street saying, "Look at me," and you do, because he's a beautiful horse, and he just looks the part, and very often that doesn't always go together, but he does. He knows what he is, and it's very nice to see a horse like that. Now we just got to hold it all together, and there'll be plenty of people taking him on, and I know where one is. And we were complaining last year it was short of pace for him because there was nobody to give him a lead. I know where there's one that's going to give him a lead this year.
And what about him? Where might we see him start? Because he looks pretty well.
He looks very well. I'm going to try and get a run in before the Tingle Creek, where he will meet Sanctuary. So we were going to go to Cheltenham. There's a nice new 2-mile chase at the Paddy Power meeting, which gives him 3 weeks before the Tingle Creek, where we will meet Sanctuary. And the programme now just purely dictates that's what we're going to have to do. There is no option. It's a bit of a shame because they're going to be you'd expect them, they might easily be the best 2-milers. I mean, Finian's, we haven't decided yet. It's a bit unfair on Finian's. Everybody's talking about Sprinter Sacre. Yeah. Finian's is the reigning champion 2-mile chaser, and he's hardly getting a look in at the moment, which is a bit daft. In fairness, it's because we're talking about upping him and Trip, but possibly that's because of Sprinter as well, and Sanctuary. So, we're going to have a head-to-head in December, which is sort of not ideal for everybody because it sort of takes the mystery out of the whole thing. It would be nice to have that. It'd be nice
coming in March.
It would, yeah. It would set it up for March. You're going to find out who the best 2-miler is in December.
Of course, a big question mark for everybody about Sprinter Sacre is, could he just be the best that we have ever seen? And seen him in tremendous condition there, wandering around, looking just a coat like an absolute seal going round the indoor ride. Of course, another top-notcher from the same stable, Simon Sigg.
Simon Sigg, a horse that I know you were 50-50 2-mile 5 2-mile race at the festival. In the end, you went for the 2-mile 5 on Barry Geraghty's advice, but he certainly doesn't lack speed.
I think whatever he does this year, it'll be over 2 miles. It's funny, I mean, it was we ummed and ahed until the very last minute, really, and it wasn't a question of. We did have Darlan in there for the Supreme, but I wasn't trying to do it that way. It was really which was the best way for the horse. And Barry just thought it might help him a little bit just to go half a stride slower. I don't think it would have made any difference to the result. He would have won either. It was just what was best for him. And we took that route. But having said that, I think one sort of sat here all summer, we have another dilemma. As far as he's concerned, is what to do. But at that stage, the dilemma was, what's the trip? Yeah. Now, I'd say the trip, believe it or not, is going to come back to 2 miles, whatever he does. And it's a toss-up between staying over hurdles and is he a champion hurdle horse, which I have no doubt he is, or switch him to fences straight away and make him into a chaser, which I have no doubt he is. So,
what way? How do you go about making that decision? Because if you win 2 novice chases, it's very hard then to go back hurdling.
Yeah, you wouldn't. I mean, as long as he's jumping well and doing it well, and maybe Sprinter Sacre could have won a champion hurdle. I don't know the way he gallops, but obviously jumping is his forte. And I hope Simon Sigg. I'm not going to say he's going to be another Sprinter Sacre in the air, but he's been very good so far. Ronnie and I sort of talked about it several times, possibly leaning towards the hurdle campaign, but then we were going to school him and Barry was going to... Barry sort of thought that after Cheltenham he was a chaser, but then after Aintree he was thinking he's a champion hurdle horse. But then after schooling him, we're going the other way. We've got another. We're going to have to decide in the next fortnight. We're going to school him again this week, and I think that'll actually make our mind up.
Every time that Mick chatting there with Nicky, just get a real feel about how special the lineup is going to be for the team this term round, as is so often the case, but really does look to have a tremendous hand to go to war with. Another one, of course, lining up for the team, Bobsworth.
Bobsworth, a horse who many people wrote off. He's never been beaten left-handed. He's only ever been beaten right-handed.
And he wants to go left-handed. In fairness, we had a very tricky time with him, to be honest with you. After Kempton, we'd just always been a little bit suspicious of his wind, and after Boxing Day, we did it's cauterising the palate. It's a very non-invasive little piece of surgery. But funny enough, it sort of seemed to affect him quite badly. In January, he looked shocking. And I'd nearly given up on him, and I certainly thought all chances of Cheltenham were out of the window. Gradually, everybody had worked away, physios and goodness knows what. We got him back building up. He looked terrible. And I had to get a run into him. And we went to Ascot. And actually, he ran a very respectable race. It wasn't tidy, though. You know, for some reason, everything is much easier to him going left-handed. And consequently, I think the King George probably isn't his race. The plan would be to start in the Hennessy.
A race which you've won before with a horse who's won that race.
Well, as you well know, that was Trebolgan. And Burton Port really came out of the same profile, although he didn't actually win the Sun Alliance or the RSA. You know, he came out, he was second in the RSA, he was second in the Hennessy. It is a race those second season novices can come and it's their one chance in handicaps. After that, they've virtually got none. So I think he'd go there. I mean, his plan would be there, and some way we'll find a route to Cheltenham, as you probably rightly say, trying to avoid going right-handed.
Yeah,